The world has a way of testing you, pushing you to the edge, watching, waiting, to see if you will shatter under the weight of your struggles. They whisper behind your back, their voices laced with doubt. They won't make it. They're too weak. It's only a matter of time before they break. But what they didn't know, what they never saw, was that you had already crossed that breaking point long ago. And instead of falling apart, you became something else, something stronger, something unstoppable. This is your story, a story of how you walked through fire and emerged unscathed. They thought they could break you, but you were already gone. The fall begins. The world wasn't always like this. There was a time when things made sense, when life was predictable, safe. You had dreams, plans, a path carefully laid out before you. But life doesn't ask for permission before it rips everything away. It started with small losses, things that seemed insignificant at first. A missed opportunity, a failed test, a betrayal from someone you trusted. Then, the losses grew heavier. A job gone, a relationship shattered. The slow, suffocating realization that the world doesn't care about your plans, your hopes, your dreams. People noticed the change in you. The way your shoulders slumped just a little more each day. The way your eyes lost their spark. The way you stopped fighting back when life pushed you down. They mistook it for weakness. They thought you were fragile, teetering on the edge of breaking. They didn't understand. The silent transformation. What they couldn't see, what no one ever sees, is what happens in the dark when you're alone with your thoughts. The nights you spent staring at the ceiling, wondering if it was all worth it. The battles fought in silence, where no one could hear you scream. At first, you begged for things to go back to the way they were. You clung to the past like a drowning man, reaching for a lifeline that no longer existed. But then, something shifted. You stopped waiting for rescue. The pain that once felt unbearable became familiar, almost comfortable. The things that once made you tremble no longer had power over you. It wasn't that you had found some hidden strength. No, it was something far more dangerous. You had already lost everything. And when you have nothing left to lose, you become something else entirely. You become free. The breaking point that never came. They push you, testing your limits. They expected you to crumble, to give up, to fall apart under the weight of it all. But every time they looked, you were still standing. Bruised, maybe. Scarred, definitely. But standing. They tried harder. More pressure. More obstacles. More reasons to quit. But what they failed to understand was that you were no longer playing their game. You weren't fighting to survive. You had already died in the way that mattered. The old you, the one who cared about fitting in, about meeting expectations, about pleasing others, that version of you was gone, and in its place stood something unbreakable. You didn't flinch when they whispered their doubts. You didn't waver when the storm raged around you, because you had already been through worse, because you had already walked through hell, and you weren't afraid anymore. The rebirth. Something changes when you reach that level of detachment, when you stop fearing failure, rejection, loss. You start moving differently. You no longer beg for things to work out. You make them work. You no longer wait for permission. You take what you deserve. The fire they thought would destroy you only forged you into something stronger. And now, they watched in stunned silence as you rose, not just surviving, but thriving. They thought you would break, but you were already gone. And now, they fear what you become. They thought you were a casualty, another name on the list of those who didn't make it. They had already written your story for you, one of failure, defeat, and surrender. But something shifted. The whispers turned to silence. The smirks faded into confusion. They started watching, not because they cared, but because they couldn't understand. How were you still here? How were you still moving, still breathing, still fighting? Because people like you, people who have lost everything, aren't supposed to rise again. You were supposed to stay down, to give up, to become another cautionary tale. But instead, you did the impossible. You disappeared into the darkness, only to emerge as something unrecognizable. And now, they don't know whether to fear you or admire you. No longer the same. You don't speak like you used to. Your voice no longer carries hesitation, no longer seeks approval. The fear that once lived in your eyes has been replaced by something else, something unreadable, something unnerving, because you see the world differently now. You understand things most people never will. You know what it means to lose everything and keep going. You know what it's like to fight battles no one else can see. And that kind of knowledge, it makes you dangerous. Because you don't chase comfort anymore. You don't seek validation. You aren't looking for an easy way out. You've been through the fire. You are the fire. They can feel it. They try to pretend nothing has changed. They still throw obstacles in your way. Still doubt you. Still wait for the moment you break. But they're starting to realize something. You don't break. You don't react the way they expect. The things that used to shake, you no longer even register. The same words that once cut you deep now feel weightless. They can sense it. The shift in the air when you walk into the room. The way people start listening when you speak. The quiet authority in your movements. Because when you've been at rock bottom, nothing scares you anymore. And people who have nothing to lose, they are the ones who change everything. The power of being gone. The version of you they knew, the one who cared, who hesitated, who feared, is gone. Now you move with purpose. Now you take what is yours without asking. Now you understand that survival isn't about avoiding pain. It's about embracing it. And they don't know what to do with that, because they thought they were dealing with the old you, the one who would bend under pressure, the one who would crack under doubt, the one who would shrink when faced with adversity. But they were wrong, because you had already left that person behind. You had already stepped into something greater. And now, the only question that remains is this. What will you do with this power? They watched, at first, out of curiosity, then out of confusion, and now out of fear, because you weren't just surviving anymore. You were thriving. The same people who once doubted you, who laughed at your struggles, who waited for you to crumble, now they speak your name in hushed tones. They exchange glances when you walk into the room. They feel the weight of your presence before you even say a word. They don't understand how you did it, how you took every failure, every rejection, every moment of pain, and turned it into fuel, how you transformed into something unshakable, something relentless. They don't know what to do with you now, because the version of you they thought they could control is gone, and in its place stands someone they never saw coming, no longer seeking permission. You used to wait for approval, wait for the right moment, wait for someone to tell you that you were good enough, but not anymore. Now, you move without hesitation. You don't ask if you belong. You decide that you do. You don't wait for doors to open. You tear them off their hinges, and that terrifies them, because the world is built on control, on keeping people in line, on making sure no one steps too far out of place. But you stopped playing by their rules. You stopped living in fear of failure, because you already faced the worst and came out stronger. You stopped needing their validation, because you finally understood they were never going to give it to you anyway. They regret underestimating you. Once they dismissed you, they didn't see you as a threat. They saw you as someone to overlook, to ignore, to push aside. But now they feel it, the weight of their mistake. Because you are rising. Because you refuse to stop. Because every time they said you couldn't, you turn around and did. And now they're scrambling, trying to figure out how to bring you down, trying to find ways to make you doubt yourself again. But it's too late, because the power they thought they had over you, the words they used to keep you small, the limits they try to place on you, they don't work anymore. The fear in their eyes, they don't say it out loud, but you can see it, in the way they hesitate before speaking to you, in the way they second-guess their words, in the way they no longer challenge you the way they used to, because they realize now you are beyond their reach. You don't belong to their world anymore. You've stepped into something greater. And the only thing more terrifying than someone who refuses to break is someone who has already broken and rebuilt themselves stronger than before. You're no longer a victim of your past. You are no longer the person they once knew. You are a force, and they are running out of time before they're forced to face the truth. They never had power over you. You were just waiting to realize it. They used to think they could break you, that their words, their doubts, Their obstacles could crush you into nothing. But what they never realized, what they were too blind to see, was that you had already been broken. And instead of shattering, you became something indestructible. Now you walk with certainty. Every step carries purpose. Every action is intentional. There is no more hesitation, no more fear, no more looking back. The past? It no longer controls you. The pain? It no longer defines you. The voices that once whispered doubt into your ears? They have fallen silent, drowned out by the undeniable truth of who you become. Because now, when they look at you, they don't see the person they once knew. They don't see the one who begged, who struggled, who fought to be understood. They see someone untouchable, and that terrifies them. They can no longer ignore you. At first, they pretended nothing had changed. They told themselves it was a phase, that you'd eventually slip back into who you used to be. But you never did. You kept rising. You kept winning. And now they don't have a choice. They have to acknowledge what's standing in front of them. They don't say it out loud, but you can see it in their eyes. Regret. Regret that they doubted you. Regret that they underestimated you. Regret that they never supported you when they had the chance. And now it's too late, because you no longer need their approval. You never did. And the moment you realize that was the moment you became unstoppable. You are the storm. They tried to break you, but all they did was set you free. You are no longer waiting for life to hand you what you deserve. You take it. You no longer ask for respect. You command it. You no longer fear the unknown. You become the unknown. Because the most dangerous person in the world is not the one who has never faced hardship. It's the one who has stared into the abyss, walked through fire, and emerged without fear. And that's who you are now. The storm. The force they can't control. The proof that no matter how much they try to break you, you are already gone. And now, nothing can stop you.